Feel Good Talk, where our focus is on mind, body, soul, and business. You are now tuning into Let's Talk About It. And my girl, Kendra Moore, she shall zoom in pretty soon. But today you have Izzy Meditates. Happy Thursday. And our special guest is Aliyah L. She is the owner and branding expert for Billionaire Babe. So we are happy to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Yes, I'm super excited. So usually Kendra and I begin our show and we ask how our week is going. So since you're our guest, how's your week going?
It's going great. It's going great. It's already Thursday. I feel like the week just started, just flew right by.
I know.
Yeah, things are going really great.
Yeah, I've been feeling like that lately, just with having kids and trying to have my own business running and having the podcast. And before you know it, February comes around. Next thing you know, we'll be here in spring, and I'm excited about that.
I know.
So we are happy to have you. I would like to, my first question is for you to just tell us about your business, tell us about your journey as an entrepreneur, and our community would love to know about that.
Well, my business is Billionaire Babe. It's a marketing agency, and we specialize in helping entrepreneurs build their online brands and their businesses. And we pay special attention to women entrepreneurs as well, in any business really. But my background is in fashion and beauty, so that's kind of how I got started. I started the company at the end of 2018. Nice. And just started with like social media management. And now we have like a full array of services, advertising, lead generation, everything marketing, everything social media. So yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. And so just because we have all different backgrounds coming into our podcast, can you explain to our audience and to our Feel Good Talk family what branding is?
Well, Izzy, branding is different to a lot of people. Branding is really a representation of the company's promises, what they stand for, their values, what they deliver. And that's like just a very general kind of understanding of branding.
Yeah.
And that's been like forever, right? Like, what's the culture of a company? What are their values? What kind of mission are they on? Yeah. With social media, there's particular attention and special attention put on visual branding, which is what I love. I love the creative side of it.
Yeah.
And some people say it's like the colors and the fonts. That's not what branding is about, but it is 100% what branding is about. You can't leave that out, that kind of, you just can't leave out that part of the interaction with, your audience and your potential customers or whoever's in your audience, whatever you're doing, with social media, because today we're not, forced to walk into a store or a shop or go to some physical location in order to find a marketplace. It's at our fingertips, Yeah. And we're looking at the thing before we're meeting the person behind the company most of the time. So everything that you see is part of the brand, the visual branding, the messaging, the style of the video, edits, the style of the photography. And of course, with social media, it's just like how the photography is filtered. So it's a whole big production, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, online for business. It's not just like, I think back in the day when social media first started, it was such a fun thing to do, what kids were doing. And now, obviously, we know the power of social media. So we take it a lot more seriously, or at least you should, because the potential is so great. I mean, it's literally infinite. So
yeah. And I love that you say that the color, because I always feel, even when I go out to a store, or even if I'm like watching a podcast, the way that they flow as far as the colors, the actual logo, I noticed that I'm attracted to um, branding that is like a neutral color, the browns, the blacks. And sometimes I'll scroll through, and if I'm looking for a new podcast or I'm looking for something that's new or a product, the color brings me into clicking on that button and actually looking
Right.
at the specific products. And that happens quite often. Yeah, thank you for explaining that, because there's, like you said, there's so many different definitions of branding and people see it completely differently. But to
Yeah.
connect with your audience is
Absolutely.
super important, and to know
Mhm.
your audience and to know what they like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I had this question that I wanted to ask, and I was gonna save it until later, but I have to know this. So, because you brand, do you brand for yourself as well? Or do you feel comfortable just going out and having another company do your branding?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I do my branding, but I definitely work with a team. I mean,
Nice.
like I wouldn't attempt to do that on my own because it's always great to get, feedback from other people and see, your brand from how it's going to be received.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely collaborate on my brand, but
Yeah.
of course, at the end of the day, it has to be something that is authentic to who I am. So
Right. 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 That's that's good. I feel like in my branding is I try to connect with everyone, but sometimes I kind of follow my heart um as well. So for companies that are looking to go into branding, when should they start looking into going into branding, and
mhm.
should they even consider it at all? And if so, why?
Well, you know what I'm going to say, right? Of course, you should consider it.
I know, I know.
Like the way you could consider what you wear before you walk out the house, right?
Right, right.
Like we're talking about business and commerce and definitely making a lasting and a good impression. And,
Yeah,
it's your business. You can't just like throw it out there any kind of way. So, of course,
right.
for me, I'm just like, you got to start from the beginning, but at the same time you have to run your business. And I know a lot of people, especially now, there's like a huge migration, if it wasn't already happening since like the beginning of like um 2000s, it's definitely happening now, like as a response to COVID, like people are going
Yeah,
online with their ideas
right.
and all the things that they wanted to do, kind of like not necessarily by force, but it's just sort of like an obvious thing that that's a reliable source now, since
Right.
everyone has had to be so virtual by force over the
Yeah,
last couple of years. But I think you should start at the beginning. I think you
yeah.
should at least have some sort of understanding of what is happening in the customer experience,
Yeah.
because you may be getting on Instagram or Facebook or something like that. I think it's okay to say those words,
Yeah,
but
yeah, you're good.
okay, no copyright. But yeah, like at least from the beginning, because it's part of your, customer's experience.
Yeah,
At whatever point they meet you or come across your content, in your funnel, so to speak. Some people don't have like built out funnels, but
right,
once you get on social media, it's part of your business funnel, right? And
right.
so you're inviting them into an experience with you and your company. So
Yeah,
it's right there at the front door. So yeah, I would say at the
yeah,
beginning. Now I know that sales, of course, is what's going to keep your company going. And some people, I was going to say, especially a lot of solopreneurs,
yeah,
if they're wearing all the hats and doing the most, it's something that you could consider maybe hiring an intern for if it doesn't necessarily work with your overhead,
yeah,
or learning a new skill.
yeah.
Do some DIY in the beginning, and then eventually when it's right for you, like delegating it to someone or an agency like Billionaire Babe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can be very creative in the beginning. Like, let's just say you couldn't afford like a full service sort of branding experience,
Yeah,
and I actually just recently created a $97 offer for people who are just starting out, because I know so many
nice.
entrepreneurs are like getting into the scene, and even for people who have been doing it for a while, some people, they get so used to working alone that it's hard for them to take a chance with someone in
Right.
terms of like, the expense and like, what is it going to return them? And those sorts of things come up for entrepreneurs. But in any case, I think it's something that you should definitely start in the beginning and take into consideration. We're thinking as company owners, but at the same time, it's like, you can look at it kind of like a job interview as well, right? Like the first thing you're going to be thinking is like, what are you going to look like when you walk into that door? You're going to be thinking of like your interview suit or whatever the case may be. So it's kind of like the same, not the same frame of mind, but it's something that, you could compare it to.
Yeah.
Because it makes a difference. People are scrolling so fast, and it's just like, you
I know.
want to give them something that they'll respond to, but you don't want to look just like everyone else,
Right.
Who's, going after the same, target audience. So, and of course that comes with like, distinguishing yourself in the market is, that's simple because there's nobody else like you. Right. But I think a lot of people complicate that part, or, just may feel like they just want to do what they see someone else doing. But jump right in, jump right in with your branding. Don't, it's not something that you have to ignore, or, it's not something that has to be hard to start either.
Yeah. I think it's super important to have, because you want what you have inside to pop out to other people. You know what I mean? And like you said, people are scrolling. I mean, when I scroll anything that's 3 paragraphs or longer, I have a long day. I'm teaching my daughter from home. We read a lot. We do a lot of reading. I do a lot of writing. And so I like to see straight to the point what it is in a picture. And quality of photo is like everything to me.
Yeah, it's so satisfying to see beautiful photos,
Right.
And then also video, of course. It's like why people are spending so much of their day on TikTok, because this is like one video after another after another.
You can watch 100 in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I have other questions, but I'm going to go. We have comments.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to go to our comments from our audience. We have Tyrone Ricks in the house. Hi, Tyrone from the 10 of Life is tuned in. Thank you for tuning in. Charles Brakely is in the house. Good evening, Charles. Thank you for tuning in. Tyrone says, good evening. Izzy meditates. Kendra Moore. Kendra's coming. And special guest, Aliyah. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for joining us.
Tyrone Rick says, Feel Good Talk is the face of the internet, radio, and networking. Thank you so much. Thank you. We try to have something for everyone every day of the week, family friendly. Tyrone Ricks also says, Let's Talk About It is an amazing show. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi, Kathy. Kathy Johnson's in the house giving us hearts. Don't y'all laugh. My hearts are kind of weird. I've been trying to make them out there. Charles Brickley says, what are some of the do's and don'ts of marketing?
What are some of the do's and don'ts? Yeah. So I don't believe in rules really, but if I was going to give you like a guideline on what not to do, I would say just don't copy other people. Come from your truth. I know that a lot of the, even when it comes to messaging, it can be so polished, and even video can be so perfect. And that's what we're talking about. We're scrolling and we want to see something that's like pretty and well done and all of that. But at the same time, I think if a person just shows up and is being who they really are, there's nothing more like that will get your attention more, like nothing more captivating about that. Because you're like, the person just comes alive, right? As opposed to something that's like super scripted and the commercial and, just like very like really well done advertising. Sometimes that just, is not as good as just being yourself.
Right. Yeah, your authentic self. Yeah, that's true. I've got I always talk about Rich Roll. He's like my favorite. He's always like authentic with his podcast, and everyone he brings on is something that is from his heart and something that he likes. And I think that's super important. That's super important. Tyrone Rick says you have to wear your brand and own it. You do. And you know what's crazy? And it's so funny because sometimes I catch myself and I have to take a moment and breathe and say, okay, I start to think about people and say, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't post that, or maybe I shouldn't do
What
that,
are
or
they
maybe I
gonna
shouldn't have that.
think?
And then I have to go back within and be like, no, this is me. And those who accept my brand and accept who I am will gravitate towards that. Those are my people.
Right.
That's my tribe. And yeah, so
And not only that, it's like it's really about how you feel too. It's
yeah,
just like this is entrepreneurship is not for the weak. So
right,
when we show up and give it our all, the least we could do is give ourselves permission to be who we really are, right?
right, right.
So yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like, gosh, I have to show up and do a bunch of hard work and I can't be who I am. It's just like, no. I mean, the point of entrepreneurship, obviously, well, not obviously for some people, but for me at least,
right,
is the freedom
yes,
and just a ability to set your own terms and just kind of live your life by your own design. So
yeah. I love that. Charles
yeah.
Berkeley says, what separates your branding company from any of the other branding companies out there?
Well, I put my customer first. I just make sure that the people who come and work with me and sign up for a service are super happy. I am there to make you happy with your brand. A lot of people come to me and it's hard. There may be some like imposter syndrome.
Right.
There may be some like a little bit of what we just talked about, like what are other people going to think? And just some barriers to get past. So for me, I'm just sort of like there to support the entrepreneur, and kind of just like remind them that this is about them.
Right.
And, really on a deeper level, it's really about like your purpose, like you got an idea to start a company. It came from typically it comes from some sort of experience that you personally had
Right.
that inspired you to, start walking in that direction.
Right.
And yeah, oftentimes it's like a calling. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I try to like bring it back to center for my entrepreneurs and incorporate, all of that because it's like a very like holistic kind of thing. It's not
Yeah.
like just like you and your business comes from you and who you are,
Right.
and it kind of
Yeah.
like starts from the top.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Tyrone Rick says,
Facts.
facts,
That's
Aliyah.
right. Love
It's
it.
true. Charles Berkeley says, I love it. I know, right? Her vibe is so cool. And it's important to have someone to support you. Sometimes when we jump into entrepreneurship, we really don't know. We're just kind of like, it's kind of like going to WebMD. We Google all these things and we're trying this and we're trying that. But to actually to
Yeah.
have the ability to go to someone and have them help you to brand your company the right way is the
Yeah.
best way to go. And I heard that $97. So that is awesome. When before we go, I'll make sure that I put it in our comments section
Okay.
so you're able to connect with Aliyah and you're able to see her company and all the offers that she has. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah.
We are going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, I have a few more questions for you.
All right.
And we are back. That there is our A game. It is a male supplement that is for men only. So if you're interested in that product, to be sure to reach out to Charles Brakely, send us a message, and he'll be sure to give you samples. That's a joke. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay.
So my next question, as a woman, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, a teacher, how do you go about balancing work life, being an entrepreneur, and all of that in one? Because you're doing more than one thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, since COVID, we've been
Yeah.
homeschooling. So my daughter's in high school. So she's
Yeah.
pretty independent, at this age. She's 17 years old, Isabella.
Nice. Oh,
So she's, yeah, Izzy, we call her Izzy too.
yes.
Um, um, so, that's the way I wanted it. That's actually why I started, my business, because of motherhood.
Right.
I was living in Los Angeles at the time. I had graduated from college. I went to NYU in New York, and I
Nice.
was like, okay, I want to see something else. I want to
Right.
see
Right.
something new. I love travel. And I'd spent my senior year in Paris. And so I wanted to see more, and I wanted to see Los
Awesome.
Angeles and I wanted the fun to keep going.
Yeah.
And so I became a mom in Los Angeles. I was working at Paramount Pictures at the time. And I realized early on when I moved to Los Angeles that there was a completely different lifestyle there
Yeah.
than New York, which is like, the work ethic in New York is crazy, right? It's good.
Right.
Um, but it's nonstop. And not to say that Los Angeles doesn't have a work ethic or anything, but there was definitely like this daytime lifestyle that I saw people having. So
Yeah.
that, in combination with becoming a mom, I was just sort of like, well, I don't want to do corporate
Right.
and be a mom too. So
Right.
that was always my goal in the beginning, when I started my first company. So yeah, I forget what the question was, but
No, you're on the right path of trying to balance it.
how do
I
I
mean,
balance it all? I
yeah.
don't. I just kind of roll with the punches, and
Yeah.
make sure that I call it radical positivity,
Right.
and just stay very, like, on the up and up, and just kind of have fun with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in the same boat, entrepreneur, mom. I have an 18-year-old who's in college, and I have a
Okay.
9-year-old daughter who I'm homeschooling. So it's just, constantly going and going and going. But
Yeah.
it's a different from working in a corporate office. I work from home for a corporate company, and
Mhm.
it's just totally different. I make my own rules.
Yeah. That's cool.
I schedule things in between, going on breaks and things like that. So I really love that. We have a question. And oh, she says I'm held up, not literally. What's your favorite brand? Who is doing it right? That's Miss Kenny Kendra.
What's my favorite brand? Um, I don't have a favorite. I saw that question. I don't really have a favorite, but what I'll say is, who's doing it right. There are so many good examples online. What I'll say is that your brand and your branding will develop over time.
Yeah.
You can perfect it. It's always evolving. Um, the brands that are doing it right, though, are the ones that are getting paid, right? Like
Right.
the ones that are expanding and their brand shows up and is recognizable. And, it's almost like a living entity. Like, when you see that Target symbol, you know what that means for you. Or
Right.
when you see like the Disney logo, like it makes you feel a certain kind of way, right? So those are
Right.
the brands that are doing it right, that are having like, an actual like impact on people and their lives, really, like brands that become
Yeah.
part of your own lifestyle.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Kendra has another question. She says, what is your first step when you work with people? What should they expect?
When I first work with people, I want to know what their expectations are. I want to know what their goals are, why they got started,
Yeah.
what was so exciting about the company when they got started. And just like, I want to bring life to their vision. I want to help them with all of my expertise to do that. And yeah, get out there on social media.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Kendra's coming with the questions. I'm sorry, Kendra, and we should explain some beginning. Kendra had a dental appointment, and so we're just gonna have her in the back there. Aliyah worked with me at the beginning with my More Life social media. I
Yes.
highly recommend. Yes, I can just
Thank
by
you.
her
Oh, thank you.
her
Thank
energy and
you.
everything, I can just tell that, and I've gone to her webpage, absolutely beautiful. Her Facebook page is beautiful. And the
Thank you.
patience, I can just hear the patience and the loveliness in her voice and in her presence. So I love that. I love that. I had another question before
Mhm,
we transition into ending the show. And I think you said that you have a team.
mhm.
Um, oh, you know what? Chuck already asked that question. The question was whether you'd have why you should why a company should consider you for branding. So I've already gone over that um, particular question. When you began this journey, and I think you stated earlier how you didn't want to be a part of corporate anymore. Was it more so being a part of corporate, or was it more so that you wanted to be just a with your kids solely, or was it just a combination of both? Which one weighed? That's just a personal question for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it was sort of like the scene. Like I was like, well, yeah, I would
yeah,
rather go to the beach on a Tuesday.
I know, right?
Or, but I also, like motherhood had me thinking about things a little bit differently. It wasn't just about me anymore. And it was
Yeah,
just like, well, what are my options if I'm at a job all day long? Where is my baby gonna go?
yeah,
Like she should be with me. And that's like how I want it to be.
yeah,
Um, it took a lot longer than I thought it would to leave corporate.
yeah,
It wasn't until like that was what Bella was born in 2004, and it
yeah.
wasn't until like 2012 that I was like, okay, I'm done. I will do anything. I will start freelancing. Like I was just getting
Right.
really creative,
Yeah.
about not having to show up. And I'm just not the one. Like I'm more so like I want to wake up slowly. And
Right.
I don't want to fuss with traffic, at 7 in the morning. And
I know.
take up all my time or whatever. But
Yeah.
I really like freedom. I like
Right.
and also like I always felt like at my jobs, I just felt like I kind of knew better than the people who were above me. So I was just like, I'm just
Right.
going to go and do my own thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, yeah, traffic. I'm in Northern Virginia. 3 hours a day I commuted, 3.5 hours a day with my kids in the car.
Oh
One
my
half
gosh.
hour going, 1/2 hour coming back. And it was just insane. And my last question before we end the interview is, do you miss corporate at all? Like, is there some parts of it that you wish you were there, or are you just like, I'm
Yeah.
basking in the sun with my new company?
Yeah, it wasn't ever like the people that I didn't like. I worked at
Right.
some really amazing companies. I worked for Viacom, Paramount Pictures,
Nice.
Citigroup. I was spoiled, like I had a really great experience in corporate. And so it wasn't so much like I love the group dynamic. I love collabing. I love working with other people. Um, it was more so just a lifestyle thing.
Yeah.
It was more so like my freedom to just do whatever I wanted to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now I know that you have another event that you have to attend. I'll take Kendra's question, and then I like for you to leave to ask if you would leave our audience with some words of encouragement for those entrepreneurs who are out there, whether you're a working mom or a stay-at-home mom. Kendra says, Aliyah, keep going, and you'll be running your own corporate company, the
I
double-edged
know.
sword of success, but you'll be in charge. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, so what would I leave people with? Bet
Yes.
on yourself. Bet
Right.
on yourself and don't try not to doubt your ideas. Follow your intuition, follow your heart, what makes you happy, you
Yeah.
know? And don't try to be too perfect in the beginning, right? Some people say progress over perfection.
Right.
So you want to kind of like, as they say, like build the airplane while you're flying it,
Yeah.
and just sort of like shape shift into your goals and just have
Yeah.
fun with it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Well,
of
we hope to have you back
course.
soon, and anytime. Whenever we have guests on, we always let them know that you're always going to be a part of our family. So if you have some other ideas that you like to come on and talk about, you're more than welcome to come on.
Thank you.
And like I said earlier, we will be sure to put all of your information inside of this post, and so people can reach out. Kendra has one more question. How do people contact you for help? Yes.
Yes. Well, you can contact me here on Facebook,
Nice.
on my profile, Aliyah L, or my page, Aliyah L.
Yeah.
Or you can also go to my website. It's billionairebabe.com, and babe is spelled Bebe.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice. Very, very, very
I'll be
nice.
on the other side waiting for you.
Oh yeah. I can't wait. I'm not sure if I think that I've added you as a face or follow you on Facebook. So I'm excited to
Yeah,
go
I'll
back and
definitely
check out some
connect with
things.
you
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
today and after the show and everything.
I would
So
love to. So when we end our show, we always come up with a heart. My hearts are terrible. And we could Kendra, if Kendra was here, her heart is perfect. I just cannot figure out how to manipulate this camera.
say
But we
that
appreciate
away.
you. And
I
thank
appreciate you
you
too. Thank you all
so
for
much
having me.
for coming on. We love you guys, and we will see you next week. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.